What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to this forum. Today we're going to talk about Wolverine and Sabretooth's new uniform, starting with Sabretooth. Now, this is an amazing looking uniform, and they did a lot for this character. I love the evil smile. That is a nice touch for this character, but they gave him a tier 3, which does have a damage proc by 150%. That is nice. And from the testing I've done so far, you definitely want to put the proc on that thing, but there's really not much else to it. There's no increased attack or nothing like that in his kit here, but the tier 2 passive does give him guaranteed critical rate by 30%, the 30% chance to increase critical damage by 100% on critical attacks, the critical damage increased by 25%. That is nice. The one, no big deal. But the second skill is kind of a big deal, at least in certain situations in the game, especially AC, considering it has ignore iframe. That is really, really nice. And I say AC instead of timeline because this is a level 70 character. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to compete against level 70, or I'm sorry, level 80 tier 4 characters in PvP, especially with the introduction of Wolverine and all the other tier 4s that we have in PvP, guys, like Thanos and Jean Grey and Adam Warlock. So I really do wonder how well he's going to do in timeline, but I think in AC, he's going to be pretty damn godly, right? But the mockery effect is nice because it forces opponents to focus attacks on casters, so they'll be attacking him, and then it cannot be removed from all debuff effect, and then increases their attack, but it also removes their super armor, barrier, shield, all damage immune, and invincible effect, which is nice. They also gave him penetration on this skill, and it has a barrier for himself for a little extra aided in survivability, which is nice. So I do think for AC, that skill alone is going to be pretty monstrous, and it's on a 4.5 second cooldown, so that's also really, really good. The third skill gives him damage immunity, and they also increased his all attack by another 20% versus his other uniform, and another 10% critical rate versus his other uniform, and it has damage immunity, which is nice. The fourth skill gives him 5 seconds of invincibility, which is cool. He didn't have that before on the fourth skill, giving him that super armor. And then the fifth skill, and also the skill damage is nice. And then the fifth skill, they gave him an all attack by 55%, ignore dodge by 40%, which is nice. And on the fifth skill, they gave him 55% more attack, and they also gave him ignore target dodge rate by 40%, and especially considering he's a level 70 character, this is good. But again, against timeline, against level 80, against tier 4s, I really would wonder how well he's going to do, because I mean, he does, sorry, but not right now, because he really doesn't have a huge HP pool. That's kind of the thing that's going to kill him. He's going to die pretty quickly, although there is, something you can have that would, help out yourself in a timeline, as we'll talk about here in a little bit. But his skills are freaking cool, right? Like, these things are awesome. Like the third skill, slapping, dapping around. The fourth skill, really sweet. The fifth skill, nice iframe. It's really good to see that iframe. And then the tier 3. Oh, I just love that big poof. That's dope, right? And literally, if you go 3, 4, 5, tier 3, he will do some pretty damn good damage. I mean, it's pretty good damage, guys, but the truth is, when it comes to a character like Sabretooth, he's just got way too much competition, guys. There's just other combat villains that have level 80s that are just going to be a whole lot stronger than him in World Boss Legends. So I really wouldn't buy the uniform for that at all. In fact, from the way it looks so far, at least from all the requirements in the game, really I would be just looking at him as an AC character, which really isn't a big benefit for the character, right? That's kind of the thing that hurts him. And you can see I do have a 200% damage proc on the character already. He only has the stage 6 power rating Hawk set, and then we just have a normal ranked uniform. Now, something they did do for the uniform is they gave him 5% more chain hit damage, and they gave him decreased damage received by 40% and guard break immunity. This is really, really good, especially for PvP, but really in PvE also. But again, guys, like in PvP, I think AC is really where it's going to be at. I mean, we'll see how well he can perform against level 80s and tier 4s, but I really think he's going to get slaughtered in there, unless maybe you have his artifact. This artifact is pretty damn godly for this character because it is the undead passive. This is nice. This will give him an extra opportunity to get it done and destroy. So maybe in timeline, if you have the artifact, maybe the uniform would be worth buying. But if you don't have it and you don't care about AC, then I really can't see buying this thing, because again, there's just other combat villains that have level 80s available for it. But it is pretty damn sweet. We'll talk about it more in another video where we're showing off some gameplay with the character. Then we have Wolverine. Now, Wolverine's uniform looks freaking spectacular. This thing is sick. I love how it looks. Like, it's dope. I do like it a lot. And they did a lot for the character. His tier 3 guys gives him 3 seconds more invincibility. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. He still had the same amount of accumulation as he did on his previous uniform. Now, as far as the rest of his kit, his passive is pretty much the same as it was before. The second skill was changed. Now it's a movable skill. This is actually really good, especially for survivability. That's actually really nice that that's there. And then the third skill, they actually gave him, 5 seconds of invincibility on this thing. And he does have the 50% attack buff, which is nice, right? And then the fourth skill, it's just, a regular skill. There's nothing really different about it. They did remove the ignore dodge from it, but that's not really a big deal because now he has level 80 available. He really isn't going to need it. And then the fifth skill, they actually did give him a damage proc by 40% on this thing. And they also put the ignore targeting on his fifth skill, which is a very long iframe. That's actually really, really good. And he has the ignore target dodge rate by 50% on the fifth skill. So they took it off the fourth skill, put it on the fifth skill, although the ignore dodge that he had before actually stacked, whereas now it doesn't. But again, he's level 80 guy, so it really doesn't matter in all honesty. But something you're going to notice about this kit versus his other kit is that, in his other uniform, he actually had a counter skill in this thing, right? If you look at this thing, guys, he actually had a counter on his third skill. And this, may be a sign that the new uniform, even though it does have ignore iframe on the fifth skill, that the old uniform might be actually better in PvP. We'll have to see how it plays out. He also has artifact with the undead passive. So again, like for PvP, I really think for Sabretooth and Wolverine, you're probably going to need that undead passive to really make them shine. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, that would make them shine. And as far as the uniform effect, they did increase his skill damage by another 10% and his bonus damage by another 5%. And they lowered the cooldown from 100 seconds to 140 seconds on his super heal, which is pretty damn awesome. That's actually really good for PvE and PvP, so that's pretty damn quality. But in regards to PvP, we're just going to have to see some tier 4 gameplay, or at least at level 80, to see how well he's going to perform, especially if he has the artifact, which I don't have. So should you buy this uniform? Honestly, guys, I would just kind of wait and see what he does at tier 4, level 80. I can tell you that this uniform is stronger than the Phoenix uniform. It's quite a bit stronger as far as damage is concerned. So for PvE, I can definitely see it. But again, guys, just like Sabretooth, the fact that both these characters are mutants, they don't have a lot of places in World Boss Legend where they're actually viable. I mean, against Null Mephisto, there really isn't any stages that they're really too viable. There's just going to be other characters that are just going to be cheaper to level up that can actually get it done against high levels of Mephisto and Null. But against Ultron, up in this, stage 49, right? I mean, there aren't a lot of options here. I mean, we did have Professor X and we did have Storm, although you would need this uniform in order to get it done with Storm. So maybe for here, Wolverine might be, a character to have, but I think really just at level 80 would be good enough. But I don't really know if you need the newest uniform yet because I don't have him at level 80. I can't really test it. Level 70, there's no way he's going to do enough damage against that. So I really would just wait and see, guys, as far as, whether or not you want to buy these uniforms. Obviously, if they're your favorites, if you think their uniforms look awesome, then you should obviously queue it up. Games are about having fun and picking up your favorite characters. That's all good. But I think Sabretooth, guys, really, from a practical standpoint in the game, it's pretty much a skip unless you want to do better in AC. But I haven't tested him in timeline, so I don't really know that for sure. And Wolverine, I would just kind of wait and see what he can do, especially if you're PvP oriented or PvE oriented, because his old uniform might be better in PvP than this new uniform. It doesn't have the counter, whereas the old uniform does. However, maybe in ABX, Wolverine might be the Kingdom Come, and you might want this uniform for that because it is stronger than its previous uniform. So guys, let me know what you think about both of these uniforms, and I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. T+7 time. Link in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See everybody. Take care.